So yesterday we looked at how the Father is warning the Son to, pay attention to this wisdom, incline your ear to the understanding, observe discretion, and there is a reason for it, and the reason for it is because there is temptation out there, there's lust out there, there's immorality out there, and it wants to draw you in, and for the purpose of destroying you and ruining everything about you. And so right off the bat, the Father then gives this illustration of the adulteress, and he says here in Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 3, it says, "For the lips of an adulteress drip honey." That sweet honey, the lips of an adulteress, they'll drip that honey. It looks so tempting and appeasing and appealing. And smoother than oil is her speech. Smoother than oil is her speech. Well, she'll have that speech of being able to try to talk you into doing whatever it is that she wants you to do. And she has that perfect sales speech all laid out of it's okay. Nobody's ever going to know. No one's ever going to find out. Everything's going to work out perfectly. And so that speech is just as smooth as oil, and those lips that are dripping with honey for the purpose of trapping you and alluring you to come into that temptation and to follow the ways of lust and to just go ahead and pursue that adulterous relationship. But then as you go on, he continues to say this in verse 4. He said, "But in the end, she is bitter as wormwood." She's bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. And he goes on in verse 5. He says, "Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold to Sheol. Sheol is the pits of death." Verse 6 is, "She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways are unstable, and she does not know it." So though her lips are dripping with honey and her words are as smooth as oil, guess what? She's going to end in destruction, and she's going to lead you down the path of destruction where everything that you are and everything that you stand for is going to be ruined. You're going to ruin your marriage. You're going to ruin your children. You're going to ruin your integrity. You're going to ruin your testimony. You're going to ruin everything. It's all going to be destroyed. And so, we say, well, sin has its fun for a season, but guess what? Its ways end in destruction. And we need to recognize that, and we need to understand. Say, well, nobody's ever going to find out. Yes, they will. You're going to get found out, and it's going to ruin you, and it's going to ruin everything around you. Now, in the Old Testament, we don't just talk about physical adultery. The Old Testament talks about spiritual adultery, where in that spiritual adultery, the children of Israel ran after other gods and committed spiritual adultery against God, against the one true God. And then we get in the New Testament, we find the words of Jesus, again, not just physical adultery, but the words of Jesus. In the words of Jesus, Jesus said, "If you look at a woman with lust after her in your eyes, you've committed adultery." You may have not committed the physical act, but you have committed adultery. I want you to understand today that pornography is ruining so many people. It is absolutely ruining so many people. Ruining lives, ruining marriages, ruining families, careers, ruining those things because that's the path that's going to take you down. At first, it's going to look sweet. It's going to look great and wonderful. It's going to sound like a wonderful thing. But its ways will end in utter destruction. The Father is warning the Son, don't go down that path. It's the path of a fool. Extraordinarily unwise and dangerous path. Unfortunately, it's a path that so many are choosing today. And if it's a path that you're on, I say repent. Turn back to the one true God. Make Him the desire of your heart. Him and Him alone. Be the man of God or the woman of God that God has called you to be.